Welcome back to Decker's Nursery. Today I'm going to talk about fruit trees. Fruit trees have gained in popularity over the past several years. It's another way to grow your own food at home, and there's nothing better than having fresh fruit from the store or from the tree at this time of year. Earlier today I was walking my backyard and I noticed I have a really nice crop of apples on my fruit tree in my backyard, and it prompted me to share some information with all of you that may be considering fruit trees for your home. So one of the things to keep in mind with fruit trees is they're readily available. We keep a very nice selection of them here at Decker's Nursery, and we get a lot of questions about the different varieties. So there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. There's a good thing about why fruit trees are popular is because it's a great way to have fresh fruit and you pick it right off the tree. It's very rewarding. The downside of working with fruit trees is they're high maintenance. So when somebody's considering fruit trees, I want to give you information today that's going to help you make a decision on whether a fruit tree is right for you. Are you going to be able to take care of the maintenance that's necessary? All fruit trees, so first of all, the primary fruit trees here on Long Island are apples, peaches, pears, and cherry trees. There are a lot of others. Persimmon is one of them, but those are the primary trees that if you decide you want to plant one, you'll be able to readily select one at the garden center. Okay? All fruit trees are susceptible to insects and diseases. Whenever you're dealing with fungal diseases on fruit trees, you need to treat them preventatively. If you wait till you see the infection, it's too late. You can't reverse that damage. And when you look at this tree, you're going to see there's some infections on the leaves, and even on the fruit, you'll see some scab is the name of the fungus, the common name. So these happen every year. They're airborne diseases, so the trees are susceptible to them year in and year out. If weather conditions are favorable for infection, high humidity, excessive precipitation, you're going to have a higher infection rate. So the only way to combat that and to protect the tree is to treat it preventatively. I'll get into the remedies in a little bit, but all the different trees I spoke about get different fungal diseases. These trees have been cared for this year at a minimum level. The fruit you buy at a grocery store from an orchard grower is often treated between 10 and 15 times a year. So that's a lot of maintenance. In a backyard setting, you don't need to be as diligent. I've been able to time the applications, and if you get the timing I'm going to recommend, you can get by with 3 or 4 well-timed applications. So the products that we use, whether it's a peach tree, an apple, or a cherry, we're going to treat. You have the option of treating with a conventional product, which is propiconazole. So professional growers use this product. They apply it differently, but this is available as well. And you can hook it up to your hose and spray your tree. I'll give you the timing in a moment. If you want to stay organic, there are options. So there's been a lot of advances with these products. So this is an actual bacteria that combats fungal infections on a tree. Both of these are very effective. If you're going to use the organic approach, you have to treat the tree 2 or 3 times more often, okay? So, with that said, the first thing you want to keep in mind, the tree has to be planted properly and has to get established. When you plant a new tree, like the one to my right, it may take a year or 2 for it to get established, produce flowers that mature after pollination to produce fruit. Okay? So don't expect to have a crop in your first couple of seasons. So that's why your basic planting practices are so important. Once the tree gets established and becomes healthy, then it will go through the life cycle of flowering, pollination, and fruiting, okay? The diseases I spoke about, those infections happen in April. They're driven by temperature. So it's usually around the end of March, beginning of April. You're going to watch the tree closely. Soon as the new leaves start to emerge, they say half an inch of green or the size of a mouse's ear, that's when you have to make your first application. And that first application is critical for the success of the rest of the year. Okay? If you're using a conventional product, you're going to time your applications 10 to 14 days apart. So if you're at 10 days and there's rain in the forecast, treat your tree before the rain. Okay, it may sound contrary to common sense, but you want to get the tree protected before the infection period occurs, okay? If you're using an organic approach, you want to apply this every 3 to 5 days, okay? So it's a lot more applications, but it gives you an organic control method, okay? So most of the fruit that you purchase at a grocery store are treated with a conventional program. Organic fruit will be labeled as such, and they're probably using this exact same product, okay? Insects are the second concern, okay? So after the flowering occurs and fruit starts to develop, sometimes the fruit will get diseases as well. So that's why you continue to treat after the fruit has started to form. But you get a lot of caterpillars, scale, mites, aphids are all, and there's a lot of different types of caterpillars that will affect the tree at different times of the year. So you need to monitor your fruit trees. And if you see caterpillars on it, if it's a small population, just pick them off. If you see a heavy infestation, this is an organic product that's very effective at controlling caterpillars. Keep in mind, we want to protect the caterpillars. They're pollinators. They're important. So if you can pick them off, put them on a different part of the property, they rarely do enough damage to hurt the tree. So this is very important. Diseases, fungal diseases, will not hurt the tree. It will compromise the fruit, which is the primary objective of planting, but it will not hurt the tree. So in a bad year, if a tree gets cedar apple rust or scab, it may lose all of its foliage early. They can endure that. That's not a problem. Your tree is not in jeopardy if it gets a bad fungal infection. Okay? The reason you treat is because you don't want it to infect the fruit. Okay, you're trying to protect the crop. Okay, so these are primary maintenance practices that you have to be willing to take if you're going to grow fruit trees. We talked about pollination, and one of the most common questions is whether you have to have 2 trees to facilitate pollination. If you're a beginner, the answer is yes. You do need 2 trees for a tree to pollinate, except when you use certain varieties. So what we do at Decker's Nursery, we bring in a large selection of apple trees with species that will pollinate other apple trees. All of the fruit I mentioned, apple, peach, pear, and cherry trees, all have varieties that are self-pollinating. Stella cherry, Bartlett pear, Alberta peach, and the Gala apple. So you only need to plant one of those fruit trees and still have the ability to produce fruit. Okay, so these are the basics, okay? It all starts with how the plant is installed and cared for. You want to make sure that you're fertilizing in the spring and the fall. We advocate the use of the Espoma plant tone, just low consistent applications to give the tree the nutrients it needs to produce crops and to be healthy. Okay, and if you do decide to plant a fruit tree, don't forget to pick up the fungicides, whether it's a conventional fungicide or an organic fungicide. And you need to be prepared in thinking about that first application at the end of March, the beginning of April, when the first leaves start to emerge and are the size of a mouse's ear. Okay? Don't be intimidated by it. It's easy. And there's a lot of information available as far as what varieties to select. If you need assistance on the timing, please reach out to us. We're going to help you be successful. Okay? Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have success with your fruit trees.